We're going to look at inverse. So we've worked on using SOHCAHTOA to find length, okay? So we've used sine, cosine, tangent to find length for things. In this case, we are going to find an angle. So we're going to label it very similarly to what we did before. We're going to look at that angle. We know 4 is adjacent, it's next to it. We know 5 is hypotenuse. So then I know I'm going to use cosine. So I'm going to set this up almost the same way. I'm going to find cosine of x equals adjacent 4 over hypotenuse 5. Now, to get rid of the cosine, there's this cosine of -1 we use. So we get x equals cosine of -1. It's like the same thing as, when we have something multiplied, we divide. This is very similar. It's the undoing of cosine. So cosine -1 4/5. So I'm going to go to my Desmos calculator now. And when I hit here, right in the functions, you see that there's this cosine of -1. I'm just going to do 4 divided by 5. And I'm going to make sure that I am in degrees and not radians. And I get 36.9 degrees, we'll say. We'll round it up. So x equals 36.9, and I'm just going to use that little square thing, but instead I'm going to put in, so I know it's 36.9 degrees. So let's try another one. We're looking right here. I'm going to actually skip number 1. Let's do number 2 because it looks a little bit different. We've got our angle at the top. So I'm looking right here with my angle at the top. I know that 10 is still my adjacent, and in this case, 5 is my opposite. So if we look at SOHCAHTOA, opposite and adjacent means we're going to use tan. So we're going to use tan of x equals the opposite 5 over the adjacent 10. So we're going to have to use that inverse function. So we get x equals tan inverse 5 over 10, which we know is 1/2. So I'm going to go to my Desmos calculator, and I'm going to hit the little keyboard. I'm going to hit function. I'm going to hit inverse tan 5 over 10. And I get 26.6 degrees. So that's 26.6 degrees. So let's move on. Let's look at a couple other ones here. Let's look at number 6. So we will do some more in class as well, but these are just a little bit different. We've got x here, we've got 6, which is the opposite, and we've got 11, which is the hypotenuse. So we're going to use sine for this. So sine of x equals opposite 6 over hypotenuse 11, or x equals sine inverse 6 over 11. And so I'm going to go to the Desmos calculator. I am going to hit function sine inverse 6 divided by 11, and I get 33.06, we'll say. So I get x equals 33.06 degrees. So we're kind of getting this. We're just using the invert. We're figuring out which trig function it is. We're setting it up. We're taking the inverse and putting it into Desmos. So I think that's pretty straightforward. So I am going to stop here.